Was the mafia, American mafia, involved in the death of John Kennedy?
Did not kill Jimmy Hoffa. They'll never solve that murder.
You met Hoffa's brother?
Yes, and his name is Roberto. He was wanted by the United States, and there is like a prize in his head, like $10 million. He's the accountant story. He's published a book in Amazon. It's called The Accountant Story. So I met him, and I met his nephew, Nicholas, that was kidnapped by the law enforcement that left to those days. But I think his brother, his son, has nothing to do with him.
I think so.
Yeah, and when he talked with the uncle, and they just like, I would love to give him this gift, AirPods. This from JetLift. It's pretty similar to technology that's from Apple, and it has like 2 years guarantees. And the beauty in it, it has like a case in it, and it has some accessories that can use them in a rubber band, or you can hang it over here.
Great.
And in the meantime, you cannot. You can use it like here, and it's pretty easy for it.
That's
so
great.
This is
That's good, because I use that all the time.
we will go over there to continue our. What kind of business you had back then in Colombo?
Well, you know, I had a lot of legitimate business, you know, I had at that time. And on the street, you know, I had a big gambling operation. I had a lot of bookmakers taking illegal bets working for me. I had about 12, 13. I had money out on the street, Shylock money, lending it out at high interest rates. A lot of guys on the street that have money, that's a natural thing to do.
Yeah.
And gambling also natural. But then I came across a deal where I created a scheme to defraud the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. And it was the biggest thing probably the mob had seen since Prohibition. We were making millions of dollars a week.
Yeah. You became the biggest mafia earner since Al Capone.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's what they say.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ran that for about 8 years, and I brought some of the Russian mafia guys from Brooklyn, were my partners, and we really expanded, you know, up and down the East Coast. We were selling 500 million gallons of gas a month.
Unbelievable.
And we were taking down in American money 30, 40 cents a gallon. It was a lot of money, a lot of money. And ran it for about 8 years until my partner flipped on me. He became an informant. That's how the government wins.
Yeah.
They turn people.
Yeah. So how did this crazy idea came to you? Russian mafia involved. Why not the American mafia over there not involved in your business?
Well, there was mob guys too. Everybody tried to get into that.
But not other families.
Some other families tried to get involved. But when too many people get involved, you mess it up. So we tried to keep it close. So I had to sit down a lot with a lot of people to keep them out of the business. Because I told my boss, if everybody gets involved, we're going to blow it. There's too many people. So he supported me on that because I was giving him a lot of money. You know, he was making money, and the money buys loyalty in that life, you know. So I was able to hold on to that for about 8 years until I went to prison, you know, as a result. And then everything collapsed after that.
So you make like $8 to $10 million a week back then?
Yeah, we were pulling down, we were selling 500 million gallons of gas a month. I had 350 gas stations. I had 18 companies collecting tax. I had a big gas terminal.
And then you defraud that
yeah, it was all fraud. It was all fraud.
Okay, cool. There is no doubt that the creation of wealth and powerful, you know, makes people happy.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it's put their life at stake. So what's your point in that when you walk away from that powerful and rich and wealthy life, and you walk away from that life, and you were number 18th in the richest mafia people in that time. Your point on that topic specifically.
Well, I knew eventually I was going to go to jail forever, or I was going to get killed, because we had a lot of stuff going on.
There is another.
It was one of the two. So I said, you know, let me take my chances and try to walk away and see if I can preserve my life and my family. And, you know, it turns out it was the right decision, but I didn't know if I was going to make it, because people were mad at me. You're not allowed to walk away from that life. So, you know, contract on my life, and I had a lot of stuff to deal with. But it was the best decision I made. You know, look, I'm never going to make the kind of money I made back then, but I don't need it now, you know. It was a whole different lifestyle. But like I said, everybody I know, dead or in prison, everybody.
Why not drug business in the mafia? We've seen some movies and some stories about that. There was a drug business, but at low level.
Yes.
And in the Cubana conference back then, 1946, when the Mafia Commission gathered over there, they left the decision for drugs to each family decide at its own. So why not Mafia focuses on drugs?
The night I got made, I was told if I deal with drugs, I die. That's it. And, you know, a lot of the bosses felt it was just a dirty business. It brought too much heat. Some guys were doing it still. You know, they were on the side sneaking, but we weren't the major drug dealers. We weren't allowed.
Gotcha.
And I saw guys get killed over drugs. Not big dealers either, small amounts in our family.
So in your book, you've mentioned the Machiavellian ideology and King Solomon philosophy or ideology. Which the most one influenced you in your life or in your business?
Well, back in the mob life, it was Machiavelli. We read the book The Prince, and we followed his ideology. Today, in the last 20 years, it's been Solomon, a very wise, brilliant man. And, you know, I see our government acting more Machiavellian today than they do Solomon, for sure. So that's the distinction I make. You know, there's, to me, there's a lot of hypocrisy in government. They make like they're doing things for the people when they're really doing it for themselves, their own agenda. And that's very Machiavellian, very Machiavellian. But they always try to appear honest and having integrity and upright. And it's very disturbing here in the United States, what's going on.
Okay, so you've mentioned in your interviews that the government used the Machiavellian ideology. Is that because your father was framed in the bank robbery indictment and he went to the prison for 35 years or 50 years? Or it's another opinion?
No, it's two separate. I mean, my father, for some reason, attracted the attention of the government back then. He was a major target.
Yeah, he was an underboss of the Columbia family. Okay.
And they selected him, and my dad was framed, no doubt about it. He did
framed in the bank robbery.
No doubt. Okay. He did 40 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, and I'll take that to my grave.
So, we want to move to movies, Mafia movies, and I would like to thank you for your show, Mob Movie Mondays, that you review the movies that were based on true stories.
Right.
But with you today, we will, let's say, rank or review the most important, or let's say the accurate movies that was published and based on true story in the Mafia. So I've mentioned Godfellas, which one that they
mentioned me and
mentioned you in that movie, and Donnie Brasco in 1997, and John Gotti. And why not The Irishman? Because The Irishman was recently and got a lot of, you know, views, and it addressed and highlighted all the stuff that related with organized crime, union, government, even the wars in the area. So your points on that?
The movie itself was realistic. It showed a realistic picture of that life. What wasn't true was the main character, Frank Sheeran, played by De Niro, did not kill Jimmy Hoffa.
So Sherihan did not kill
100%
Jimmy Hoffa.
no.
And there is shows in I think Fox News on YouTube that he did deathbed confessions, and he mentioned that he did it, and it was 2 shots, and
Yeah, it was a total lie. It was fabrication. He sold a book as a result of that. But the investigation proved that he didn't do it. And he also claimed that he killed Joey Gallo. That was my family, my time. Absolutely not to kill
Joey
Gallo.
Gallo that was killed in Little Italy at the restaurant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was my family, my time. And I know for a fact Frank Sheeran did not kill Joey Gallo.
And when you see, it's one of the most enduring mysteries in American history,
Yes.
that the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, and I think more than 30 high-ranking figures in the Mafia was indicted in that, and you know, and until now there is no one that can he prove.
They'll never solve that murder. I don't believe so. I think they'll never find his body. Well, they've said, you know, one time they said it was buried in a house in Detroit, and the
I saw it in
they
movies.
dug up the house. There was nothing there, you know. So everybody gives a theory. They try to sell a book, and they say they know where Hoffa's buried, you know. But I don't think they'll ever find his body.
Okay, so The Godfather. It was a huge, and I think it's what the first one that exposed the Mafia to the public. And was Joe Colombo involved?
Influence, yes. He had a lot to say in that movie. He removed the word mafia from the script, took it out. He also told them that if they tried to film in New York, that they would be shut down. That every location they went to, there would be trouble.
Okay.
So they removed the word mafia from the script. They used Lenny Montana, who played Luca Brasi. He was one of our guys. He wasn't a made guy, but he was one of our guys. They put him in the film. They did certain favors for Joe Colombo as a result of him allowing them to film in New York. You know, but yeah, Godfather was the most brilliant mob movie ever.
Yes,
It was fictional, but it was brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant.
Godfather 1 and 2. Number 3, they lost it, but 1 and 2, brilliant.
Okay, so can you rank the movies for our audience to, because I will list them in the description to people to saw.
Yeah, I can rank them as far as the realism.
Let's say the most accurate 3 or 4.
Most accurate, in my view, there was 3. Goodfellas, very, very accurate. Donnie Brasco, accurate. To a point, you know, they always take a little liberty, but the story was intact. It was a true story, and they stayed pretty loyal to the story. And then the HBO Gotti movie.
That was 1960.
1996, I believe.
1996, yes.
Very accurate.
Okay.
Very accurate, very well done. So those 3 movies are top 3.
Okay. We're back to John Gotti. In this, the time life, man, picture this, and you see Gotti, Al Capone, and Lucky Luciano. What makes them special? Especially Gotti recently.
I mean, Capone, you know, because of the era that he was in and the control that he had in Chicago. And remember, it only lasted for a couple of years. He was only in the top for a few years.
Yes.
Luciano, because Luciano formed Cosa Nostra here in this country. He created the commission, he divided it up. Luciano was a major presence in this life. And he was low-key. He didn't try to be out there.
Yes.
John Gotti, because he was always in front of the camera, talked a lot, dressed in the Brioni suits, he just made a name for himself that wasn't good. Wasn't good. And he did not, he hurt the life in many ways. He really did. He brought a lot of heat down.
What's your relationship with him? What was your relationship?
I got along with him. We had some business disputes. He was very difficult to deal with because he had a big ego, you know, very narcissistic. Socially, a lot of fun. Go to drink and, hey, John, you know, we have fun in the nightclub. But business-wise, very difficult.
So his ego was the major problem when he want to implicate Sammy the Ball in the Bugs story?
You know, I know Sammy now, and Sammy has his story.
Yes.
You know, he said what he said, and you know, who am I to?
Yeah, but it was filmed in the John Gotti too. That implicate the Sammy the Ball implicated by John Gotti. And
yes.
It is what it is, and he wants to, like, you know, save himself. You know.
Well, if that's true, that was a wrong thing to do. You don't sacrifice your own people. I mean, that was wrong, no doubt about it. And look, Sammy's come a long way. He's suffered a lot, and you know, he's doing okay right. Excuse me, he's doing okay right now. So I'm happy for him.
Okay, so because we are talking about the movies and stuff, saving Jerry lives brought you a business in movies productions.
Yes.
Do you still have that company right now?
No.
Did you? Oh, okay.
I'm still involved a little bit. They're doing a television series on my life right now. It's in development, probably be announced the middle of this year. It's with a major production company,
cool.
And they already, the pilot is already written, and 3 seasons are already written. So
cool.
Yeah, they're going to be announcing it pretty soon.
Netflix, Prime, Amazon.
It could be any major network.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I hope it goes to Netflix, but we'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very happy with what they've done so far. It's great.
Okay. FBI and informant. How did you manage to deal with the undercover police in Brooklyn back then? They were watching your father and then watching you, and what was the crucial point that triggers the informants to flip?
They don't want to go to jail.
That's it.
That's it. That's the main reason.
So the old timer is different than.
They don't want to do the time. You know, they could say a lot of different things, but most all of the time, they just don't want to go to jail.
Your story with Henry Hell.
I knew Henry very well. You know, he was a poor soul. Henry was always, he had an alcohol problem. Then he had a drug problem. You know, Henry was always, you know, in trouble in some ways. And look, in the movie Goodfellas, Henry never looked so good as he did in that movie. They made him look a lot more important than he actually was in real life. But I liked him. I felt for him. So, but he was an unfortunate guy. He was always in a jam.
So you, the FBI and law enforcement, you had 3 cases with Rudy Giuliani. He was the general attorney at that time, and then he made a name for himself because he indicted all the mafia. So, and because I have heard that you were on the plane flying to New York, and there was a girl next to you in the business, and I want to hear that story.
I was flying from California to New York, and it was a very turbulent flight. Very turbulent, and it was bumpy. The planes going up and down. We were sitting in first class, and there was a young lady sitting next to me. She was very scared, and she said, "Excuse me, sir, can I hold your arm?" And I said, "Yeah." I was trying to calm her down, and she was very nervous. She put her head on my shoulder, and I turned to her and I said, "This plane is not going to crash." And she said, "Do you believe that?" I said, "Yes." And I said, "Let me tell you why." I said, "I'm under federal indictment, and there's no way that I'm going to die before I go to trial, so don't worry about it." And then she looked at me like, "Who is this guy?" You know. But the plane didn't crash, so when we got out, I said, "I told you, don't worry about it." You know.
So did you you beat all the Giuliani cases?
Yeah. Well, Giuliani only indicted me 1 time. I had 5 cases that I went to trial for, and I beat them all. But the biggest one was Giuliani. That was if I lost that case, he would have given me 50 years.
Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a big win for me, very big win, and I fought very hard to beat him.
Okay. Hitman, betrayal, loyalty, but assassination at the politician levels or the public figures level. You know, we've heard that the Kennedys involved in the Irish Mafia. Then there were a deal between Italian Mafia and Kennedys regarding to the casinos that in Cuba, and that what was mentioned in The Irishman. Was the mafia, American mafia, involved in the death of John Kennedy?
Sure. Oh yeah, let me put this here.
We have dates from California over there in New York. It looks like the States, but you know, it's from California. But this is from home.
Is that from
From home.
yeah.
Yes.
This is great too.
Yeah. That's what
There's probably
yes, and it's part of our partners and sponsor. When they heard that we have a meeting, they said it's good to have something from our cultures to be in, and I'm glad you like it. You know.
Very good.
Yeah. In the financial part, because there's a greedy and there's people get paid, they're earners.
Understand something. There is no financial struggle. It's every man for themselves. But like you had to pay up to the family. See, there's a big myth out there that you become a mobster and all of a sudden you become rich. Not true. Like everybody's taking care of you. Nah, you got to make your own way, and you got to pay up to the family. That's how you gain value by one of two ways. Either you're a big earner or you're a big shooter. It's one of two.
Oh,
Yes. And you do the work, the work. And you paying up all the time, like when I had a deal, like with the gas business, that was my deal. I brought it into the family.
You did everything.
I
You
did
made
it all.
the deal. You made everything.
But if I needed help, he had to support me.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I told my boss when I first realized what I had with the gas business, I sat down with him and I said, look, I'm going to show you more money than you ever saw before. And he looked at me and said, we don't do drugs. I said, come on, Junior. His name was Junior. I said, not drugs. I said, it's gas. He goes, what do you mean? I said, don't worry about it. I got it handled. I says, but we have to protect this. If we have an argument, I got to win. No politics with the other families. They play politics all the time. I said, I got to win everything, and I'll show you more money than you ever seen before. And he looked at me and he said, show me. Within a couple of weeks, I would say within about 4 months, I'm bringing him $2 million every other week. That buys a lot of loyalty.
pizza slice.
Yeah, pizza out here. We open next week. If you guys want to come back, we'll sit down. We'll have great pizza. You'll love it. Meatball sandwich, some pasta.
I'm down for it, but I don't know about them.
I'm serious. We'll do it at a store out here.
Okay.
We'll be open. My son is going to run it. He's a chef.
Okay, that's good.
Back to LA at all?
Our tour guide in New York.
Well, the next time
Yeah.
you come back to LA, call me, and then we'll all get together.